I just finished watching the USYK v Fury rematch press conference, and I must say that I am baffled. I am in complete and utter confusion as to how such a wealthy group of people, such a well-financially supported organization as the Saudis, is able to consistently put on such unentertaining press conferences. I can give them a bit of leniency in the fact that I know that they have to adhere to a certain standard of respect given their commitment to Islam, which I completely respect. However, does it have to be at the expense of any entertainment value whatsoever? I don't think so. And let's start with the frustration here. Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk come out in the most astonishing fashion statements I have ever seen. All right? So the juxtaposition between their appearances and the value of what they have to say is arresting. It is stark, and it makes the press conference all the worse. When Tyson Fury is asked if he has any comments to kick off the press conference, what can we expect this Saturday? What can we expect from you? What have you been doing all this time as you prepare for the rematch? How are you feeling? Are you angry? Are you inspired to come back and make a statement? The man says, the talking is over. How can the talking be over? The press conference has just begun. The talking should have just commenced, and yet Tyson Fury would claim that the talking is over. How can this be? That is the worst statement I have ever heard to begin a press conference. And then Usyk regurgitates this claim. When they go to ask Usyk, what do you have to say for the press conference? What do you have to say to tell us about what we can expect for the fight? What have you been doing in training camp all this time? Usyk, and it's made all the worse by the fact that it has to be translated to Usyk while he looks completely uninterested in what's being said. And then he produces, in a tone more monotone than any I've ever heard, in Ukrainian, first of all, in a language that unfortunately the people don't understand, and then it has to be translated in an equally monotone way, that he too has to say that the talking is over. The promotion is over. We can wait to see what's going to happen on Saturday night. Well, I got news for you two. I did not tune into the press conference to be told to wait till Saturday. I am aware that I will be able to see who is the better fighter come Saturday evening. I came to the press conference to perhaps gain some insight as to how this might be exhibited by either of the fighters. I did not come here to be told what I already know is going to happen on Saturday. I did not come to be told. This is not some forecasting of events to happen. This is merely repeating the fact that we're going to see this fight happen on Saturday. All right? And then for whatever reason, we have to hear the promoters talk about absolutely nothing. All right? It starts off with Frank Warren. The guy is so confused. I'm sure they scheduled this, they rehearsed it, yet Frank Warren is confused that he got called on. He gives the worst answer ever. He repeats the question that was asked to him and simply claims that he has great confidence in his fighter. Okay, what else would he say? Oh, I have turned on Tyson. In fact, I think that Usyk is going to be too great of a challenge for him. I think not. That would look a little bit silly. So Frank Warren gives the most uncompelling statement of confidence in Tyson Fury. And then for whatever reason, in one of the largest heavyweight fights in boxing history at the press conference, we have to go on to listen to the undercard where their fighters give far more compelling accounts of what they've been doing in training, what we can expect on fight night. This is abysmal. How can one of the biggest heavyweight fights in history be outdone by fights that the majority of people watching this event will have never heard of, and they're completely outdoing the main event as far as promotional interest goes at the press conference? That is horrendous. All right? After taking up the vast majority of the press conference, we return to some of Usyk's promoters. All right? And this guy, he gives the least... this guy completely out of touch. He does not seem to understand that the fact that the vast majority of the audience is probably Saudi trillionaires, if not, maybe they're losers, maybe they're billionaires. And he tries to make a joke about the difference between the English and American accent. Good buddy, that was picked up on by nobody. These are the kind of people that their day-to-day difficulties are picking out what Rolex they're going to wear. They're not intimately acquainted with the accent differences between the English people of America and the UK, all right? And then we have to hear from Bob Arum. Who on earth had the idea that we should recruit the technical insights of Bob Arum at a press conference? This man talks at the speed of a snail. I think that any information he has should be typed up on a typewriter and printed out, because that is the audience which he should be talking to. Any insight that Bob Arum has to offer should be read on paper, because this is not going to be delivered in a timely manner. It is certainly not going to make me excited for the bout that is taking place on Saturday. All right? Bob Arum, bless his heart. I'm glad the man is still breathing, but he had no place being at this press conference. All right? I think this is a good time to pause and ask again, what is Saudi doing? What are these people doing? They're investing so much money into the fighters. They're investing so much money into the events, and yet we can't have an entertaining press conference. All right? The majority of MMA promotions, they can have a very cheap press conference. All we have is the fighters lined up on stage and some media members in the crowd, but they're doing their darndest to get the people entertained. I don't care if what they say is cringe. I don't care if what they say is completely horrible as far as the logic. It makes no sense whatsoever. These people are trying, and it is at least generating interest in some domain of the crowd. All right? I don't know who this is targeted for. This is a press conference that attracts the interest of absolutely nobody. All right? And then another promoter. He's talking about Tyson Fury. Do not underestimate Tyson Fury. He's a fighting man, comes from gypsies. What? That does not give him qualifications as a technical boxer. Okay? This does not speak to his boxing skill. The fact that he comes from a long line of aggressive jackwagons does not mean that he can fight Alexander Usyk. All right? That does not give me confidence. That's not credence to the fact that his performance is going to be stellar. And then we move on to Usyk's promoter. This guy's talking about a poem, allegedly a poem. It was described as a poem before it was said. This sounds nothing like a poem. It is nowhere as eloquent or elegant. It is simply a string of sentences which describes in relatively unromantic, simple and plain terms. It is far from poetry, all right? Simply describes the fact that it is somewhat astonishing that Usyk has rose to the ranks of being the heavyweight champion of the world. I agree. It is a great accomplishment. But the manner in which this is spoken, this has no place in a press conference, okay? This completely fails to generate any interest once again. And we had to sit through all this time where the fighters are saying not the fighters, like I said, the undercard fighters actually have something of interest to say. They're building the fight. Usyk and Fury, what's going on here? These guys, it looks like they're children going to church and they don't want to be there. Why are they here? And then, worst of all, Alexander Usyk, in the final moments of the press conference, you know what line he delivers? He delivers the, "I will not leave you alone, okay? I will not leave you alone. Don't be afraid. I will not leave you alone." Okay, Gru, from Despicable Me, why did you have to deliver this line in the most monotone manner possible? Once again, I am not excited for the fight on the basis of what you are telling me. The only exciting part of this press conference would be the story of its finale, which is an 11-minute face-off between Usyk and Fury, which sounds great. That sounds far-fetched. That sounds like a tale of mythical fighters preparing for incredible warfare. But if you actually watch the face-off, it looks as if we have two people who don't speak the same language, and they are in a stalemate of confusion as to who is going to communicate with the other one first. They don't know how to talk to the other person because they don't speak the same language. What is going on? I thought this was it was just a poor press conference. I mean, if Saudi Arabia, if Riyadh Season, Turkey Al-Sheikh, if they're investing probably close to $100 million in this fight altogether, and also they're going to put out cinematography, like this fight looks extremely well produced, or the promotional videos content is extremely well produced, I think it is a complete shame that they have to miss so poorly as far as the entertainment goes on the press conference. Just another random point of the press conference. Why do we have to have these post-comment tennis claps in between every bit of horrific insight given to us by anybody who comments on stage? All right, almost nobody's words were worthy of praise. Almost nobody's words were worthy of applause. And yet we have to go through this procedure of practically jazz hands, this subtle claps after, I get it. It's because it was a poetry recitation session that we got to give these, calm claps, whatever that is at English presentations. Once again, I thought this press conference was a complete miss. For all the money that Saudi Arabia has, in the words of Jermaine Cole, billionaires with petroleum and coal money. But he was a little bit wrong, because these are trillionaires with petroleum and oil money. I mean, you guys got to do better. There is surely a way to host a press conference which is more interesting than this and still adhere to the standards of respect and modesty or whatnot, which are expected in Islam. I rest my case.